Hello, and welcome to another captivating episode of Furries in the Media. I'm your host, Abergwine, and today, let's look at My Strange Addictions episode that featured a furry, Fursuit Fetish. Alright, they got an actual furry on the show.
My name is Lauren, I'm 19 years old. I'm a college student.
In the same scene where she introduces herself as a college student, the camera shows her cooking pasta. Now, I know you're thinking, Abergwine, aren't you being a little nitpicky here? Just hear me out. I know that this image of her cooking a cheap meal of spaghetti is only on the screen for less than a second, but by showing this, even briefly, the show implants the image that she's a poor college student.
My persona does play a part in my daily life.
Why are they having her wave at traffic? If these were such important details about Lauren's life, why isn't she the one to tell us? Maybe because they couldn't get her to say these things because she doesn't actually do them?
Lauren's always been a real creative person.
This is another thing I'm going to nitpick over. According to Lauren's account of the story, she had friends at the time they were shooting this. So why didn't the show interview them instead of interviewing her mom? My guess is they wanted to show her as being socially awkward and having no friends.
All of a sudden one day she came and said, "Mom, you want to give me some money so I can start buying some fur and making these suits?" And that's how it came to be.
For those of you who don't know, a typical fursuit can range in price anywhere from several $100s to a couple $1,000s. I bet that the people working on this show knew this, but chose to neglect this fact in order to make it look like Lauren couldn't afford to do what she wants and has to lean on her mother's prosperity just to carry out her addiction.
This is my persona Kira. She is my first persona I've made. She is a fox.
Before you guys skewer me, yes, I've heard that she's traced the picture. I am not endorsing that at all. Don't trace or copy artwork, kids. It ain't cool. What I am applauding here is that they showed us a furry's depiction of her own character. It offers a slightly more accurate view of what being a furry is about. Building and designing a character, and less of just wanting to be an animal and not really putting any further thought into it.
Normally, I'm kind of shy, but Kira lets me bring out my more outgoing and talkative side. If I'm ever having a bad day, putting on the suit and just going out will definitely end the day in a good note.
This statement, coupled with the show's exclusion of her friends and the implication that she can't even afford to do what she wants, paints a pathetic picture. How about those review stats? Accuracy is 50% and the spirit is 17%, averaging out to 34%. And now time for my thoughts. Hey, My Strange Addiction, was this a fetish or an addiction? It doesn't seem like she gets any sexual gratification from wearing her fursuit, so I think that rules out fetish. So maybe it's an addiction like the name of your show implies? An addiction, in this particular case, would probably look something like this. We would expect to see Lauren compulsively wearing her fursuit every chance she got. We could even expect to see the suit in a state of disrepair because she would never take it off to clean it. Even though the show tries to set it up like she has an addiction, Lauren's own account of the story contradicts this by mentioning that she had only worn her suit 2 times before shooting the show, and that the show had her wear her suit in a lot of situations where she felt uncomfortable. While the show pushed really hard to make it seem like Lauren didn't spend a moment of her life independent of her fursuit, I didn't see anything in her behavior that suggested that she had an addiction. Granted, I'm not a psychologist, but it seems pretty clear to me that My Strange Addiction doesn't seem to know when one of their guest stars doesn't have an addiction. When it comes to the intent of the show, it's pretty clear what likely happened. They needed something sensational in order to grab their audience's attention, and furries happened to fit the bill. It didn't matter to them what their guest star's life was really like, they were going to portray this person in the most pathetic manner as they possibly could, even if they had to fabricate outright lies. This whole situation is a perfect example of why you shouldn't accept a casting call to try and save the fandom. In fact, it doesn't matter what your intentions are, you'll likely be strong-armed into being the show's pawn so they can tell whatever story they want at your expense. So, what do we say to casting calls?
Come on, take a hit.
No thanks.
Well, that's it for today's episode. Have fun, stay awesome. Bye-bye!
Kid's gonna be alright.